You can check it up. Today we will be talking about respiratory system. It will include the discussion of the thoracic cage, various parts of the respiratory system, both conducting as well as respiratory parts, and the structures. So last thing will be to meet the lungs. The respiratory system is mainly concerned with respiration, and this respiration is of two steps. We take the breath inside, that we call inhalation, and we take the breath outside, that we call exhalation. Now this system, as we know already, all these systems, they are made up of different organs. So to list the organs in this system, we have a part which conducts the air, and second, where the exchange takes place, that we call respiratory part. So let us see the different portion. If we inhale or take the breath in, what comes in? So parts of respiratory system, we take the breath in from the openings on our face, the nose or mouth. Now if we try to see these portions from the nose and from the mouth, a particle of oxygen, let us say air or combination of other gases, it is taken in and it goes to an area which is back of our mouth, back of our nose and back of our mouth, that we call pharynx. Now this bolus of air, it will go down and it has to cross a region that we call in common English the air pipe, technically trachea. Now this tracheal pipe is accompanied by another pipe on the back that we call food tube or esophagus. So this esophagus is the tube that conducts the food to the other portion, which we will study in digestive system. Now this air particle or air, it will cross the trachea and it will enter into lungs. We will see the different parts of the lung afterwards. So let us see the different parts which come in the way when we inhale. Starting from the nose or mouth, we breathe in. It will go to the back of our mouth, back of our nose and back of our mouth, that we call pharynx. And it is comprising of three portions: back of our nose, the nasopharynx; back of our mouth, oropharynx; and lower down, laryngopharynx. To add to this larynx, this is actually the portions where we produce our voice, the sound box. It is consisting of a very prominent cartilage in front, the Adam's apple that we can feel in our body, and other cartilages plus some muscles. So these are the muscles over here which can change the diameter and our voice will change. From this, air will be going to the windpipe or trachea, which will divide further into right and left main bronchus. They will divide like the branches of a tree and divide into shorter or smaller diameter branches, the bronchioles. They further divide into conducting bronchioles and respiratory bronchioles, which will end into respiratory alveolar ducts and alveolar sacs. So this is presented in the form of this drawing. Let us see how we can see these in a drawing. So let us start and trace the pathway of our respiration. When we breathe in through the nose and mouth, reaching to the pharynx, and we have said that when it crosses to a windpipe, The upper portion of this, if we see, consisting of cartilages, the prominent one Adam's apple and other cartilages. Here is what we have our voice production. The voice box is there. Then over here, as already we seen, another tube is there, the esophagus. So a system of protection has been made. A piece of cartilage is placed over here that we call epiglottis. Now when we swallow something, the epiglottis falls on the windpipe and the food cannot enter into the air tube. Now if we trace this air tube down, the trachea, it is all made up of pieces of cartilages. So it is flexible, it can change its diameter. At one point, it will go down and divide unequally into two main bronchi. Now these are all made up of pieces of cartilages. They will further subdivide. On right side, we have a division where three portions are identified. On left side, two divisions arise. So if we cover these with the tissue of the lungs, they make what we call lobes of the lung. So the three lobes of the lung in the right side, if we put R for right, L for left, the upper lobe, the middle lobe and inferior lobe, but two lobes on the left side, upper lobe and inferior lobe. Now these two are separated by a sulcus, a cut that we call as the oblique fissure. The oblique fissure is present similarly between in the right lung also, but another extra fissure is present that we call horizontal fissure, dividing the right lung into three lobes. Now the first portion where we have inhaled, that is the nose. Some of the features that we have to remember in the nose, that when we breathe through the nose has been provided with a septum and with two nostrils. The lateral wall is marked by an elevated cartilaginous species covered with mucosa that we call as concha in singular and conchi with plural. Now these all are covered with mucosa plus hairs. So all these filter the air and humidifies the air. They add humidity to the air, plus they change the temperature of the air. Outside air is cooler, so it becomes warmer. When we inhale or take breath through the mouth, all these benefits cannot be found. So better inhalation is through nose. So all these points has to be remembered in case of the nasal cavity. After it has reached down, another thing we will notice over here, that when the trachea divides, the division is unequal. More vertical on right side and more horizontal on left side. Even diameter differs. Now when this division takes place, the walls, they become elevated and a fissure-like structure, elevated structure appears that we call carina. A landmark when we examine through bronchoscope. So bronchoscope is an instrument which contains light fiber optic fibers, and we can examine in a living person from inside the trachea, air pipe, even to the lungs. So this carina is a landmark that will take benefit. It is a fissure where the trachea divides. On the unequal division of the trachea, if some foreign body, let us say a coin, it falls down or a peanut, especially in small children, the chances are that it will go more to the right side. Now after the division, we have said that they will divide further into lobes. We have bronchioles. Now a time will come that after further subdivisions, this will divide in a fashion that cartilage piece will disappear. So a time will come when in the dividing branches no cartilage is found, and these they are lined with simple only one cell layer, the epithelium. At the end they dilate and make what we call alveolar sacs. So this portion, the alveolar duct portion and alveolar sac or air sac portion, is where respiratory exchange will take place. So near this, we will find that near each alveolar sac and alveolar duct portion, a blood vessel is passing, and oxygen from alveolus can pass towards the blood and carbon dioxide can pass inside. This carbon dioxide will be in exhalation. We will pass it out in exhalation, in outbreathing. So this portion is what we call a respiratory portion. Rest all parts starting from nose down to the bronchiole, that we call as conducting system of our respiratory system. Now with this in mind, some of the features of the lungs are to be noted. If we see a lung, we have seen that on right side we have three lobes, superior, middle and inferior, and on left side we have superior and inferior lobe. Now these lobes, they are separated by oblique and extra horizontal fissure in the right side. Now when we see a total lung, we can recognize some of the surfaces and borders. One of the surface, the most medial one, which are facing with each other, opposite to each other, they have got what we call hilum of the lung, and through the hilum various structures like bronchiole and vessel, they go in and out of the lung. Then we have got a lateral surface, a posterior surface. All these, they are marked by borders. Then this lung surfaces, mediastinal surfaces, is where the medial or hilum is found. We also label it as mediastinal surface. Now these lungs, they are covered with a membrane that we call pleura. Now organs of respiration along with the heart, they are placed in a cage that we call as the thoracic cage or rib cage, which is consisting of 12 pairs of ribs, a central bone in front, the sternum, and thoracic vertebrae behind, 12 in number. So this rib cage, inside it is lined with pleura, and this pleural outer layer is closely attached with the ribs inside, and this what we call as parietal pleura. The other layer of the pleura which lines the lungs closely, it is labeled as visceral pleura. So if we see a drawing of the lungs, this whole lung will be lined with what we call the visceral pleura, and outside this we have what we call the parietal pleural membrane, and in between these two layers is the cavity. Though we have drawn it very wide, it is a potential cavity that we call as pleural cavity. Now our lung through trachea, they get the air inside, so we are exposed to atmospheric pressure. Outside, whole thoracic cage is also under atmospheric pressure. So these two balance and keep our lung in normal conditions. If by chance, if this membrane is penetrated, because it is a potential cavity, if it gets something inside, let us say air or blood or water or any pus-like things, then this material will fill this cavity and press the lungs. So lungs will be compressed. When the lungs are compressed, their efficiency will suffer. So on this basis, when pleural cavity is filled with air, a condition is produced that we call pneumothorax, with blood hemothorax, with water hydrothorax, and with pus pyothorax. Normally in life, this can be ruptured by injury, accidents, and it is a serious condition which can affect the functions of the nerve. So in this in mind, please remember that the maintenance of pleural cavity is a must for normal physiological function of the lung. Now in the case when we inhale, one thing we have to add, that if we take the breath in, the air will be transferred down, and if we are working and we are at rest, what happens that the two lungs, they are being separated by a muscle that we call thoraco-abdominal diaphragm. This is a skeletal muscle with a special tendon, central tendon. It is a dome-shaped structure, so when we inhale, take the breath in, this becomes more flat. So the diameter, vertical diameter of the thorax increases, and the system, the air can be accommodated. At the same time, there are certain muscles in the neck which also contract. One bone, clavicle, collarbone you might have heard, is having muscular attachment, big muscle like sternocleidomastoid. So they also contract and increase the diameter. So by this way we can accommodate the air. Now if we are physically active, exercise, certain other muscles they come into play because we need more oxygen to be inhaled. And then there are on the ribs, the rib cage, a group of muscles is attached that we call external muscles of the thorax. Now these muscles, they also contract and increase the diameters horizontally. So this gives us more space for the air to be taken in. So in this way, the inhalation part, it is carried out. When we exhale, it is simply a passive process. The muscles which were just the diaphragm which was flat, now it assumes the original shape and pushes back the lungs to their normal, and air is expelled out. If we are at exercise, abdominal muscles over here below, they also contract and push the contents of the abdomen above, and they can also help to reduce the space of the thoracic cage and provide help for exhalation to put the breathing out. So in this way we can work. But at exercise, if we want more, for example in patients, the other muscles they come into play, especially